and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome to a slightly delayed version of this week's live Q&A. It's nice to be with you, it's nice to see you. It's Wednesday night. I know we normally go a wee bit earlier in the week, but pardon me, I've been out my holidays. Call it a holiday, it was a trip down to London. It's not exactly a holiday, but nonetheless, feeling refreshed. Everything's out the way for another wee while. I'm not away until June or something. We are on the road now to the end of the season. I plan on being here as much as I can until the curtain falls on the domestic season for Celtic, until we lift hopefully a treble, and we're going to be here every single day. So welcome along, like and subscribe if you haven't already, that would be much appreciated. I had to move the stream a wee 15 minutes earlier because I've agreed last minute to go and play some five-a-sides tonight, so I need to get myself down there for 7:30. So we're going to be in and out tonight. We're going to talk about what we need to talk about. I'm going to get your questions. I'm going to give you my answers. We're going to have a nice wee catch up. It's nice to see you all piling in, everybody from Alan to Jack, Mackenzie, the other Alan, Donny, Tiny Hands, Caden, all these different people. Yeah, we have a lot to talk about, so let's just get cracking, shall we? You've already seen the title of tonight's stream about Celtic's striker predicament and Brendan Rodgers' plans for the striker position moving forward into next season. And Brendan Rodgers has came out and said that he's not exactly against the idea of using Dyson Maeda as the forward man next year. Now that comes after a few months of fantastic action from Dyson Maeda. He's stepped up to the plate big time and delivered arguably some of the best performances we've seen from any Celtic striker over the past decade. And I know it's very early days, he's only been doing it now for 2-3 months. But you think about Kyogo, you think about Edouard and Bailey, Dyson Maeda's been doing it as well as they done it. He's scoring goals, he's still adding to his contributions, and ultimately he could be the first since Lee Griffiths back in 2015 to score 40 goals in a season for Celtic. So he has been remarkable, and Brendan Rodgers has said he thinks Dyson Maeda could be the main striker. So when asked about it, and being asked about the impact Maeda has had through the middle, what Brendan Rodgers said in the interview to Celtic TV is that I think he can be the main striker. I think it's one where if we were to move him back onto the side and take him out of the middle, with all due respect, it's probably easier for us to bring in a top winger than it would be a top striker. But he can clearly play the position, and I am so happy that he can. And it kind of contradicts everything that I've said for the last few months. I truly did think deep down that this was a short-term solution to a long-term problem where we would need to look for a striker. And I don't think this is necessarily Brendan Rodgers saying, this is it, Maeda will be the striker next year and we're not looking for a striker. I just think it's Brendan Rodgers probably telling the truth when it comes to recruiting top strikers. Celtic have had far more luck in recent years getting top wingers into the club than they have with top strikers. And the evidence is shown in Jota and Maeda and Kuhn and guys that Rodgers brought in his first spell, like Scott Sinclair, like Paddy Roberts, the guys that came and went over the last few years, like Liel Abada. You know, these are all top players, and I think with the winger department, you've got a wee bit more room for error. You know, if you bring in a winger who's maybe not firing on all cylinders, you've got other players to make up for it. Whereas if you bring in a striker who's not doing his job and scoring goals, and some people might go, Adam Maeda, but you know, if you're not bringing a striker that's scoring goals, it raises a whole lot of issues. So Brendan Rodgers may be looking at this situation and going, right, let's not risk spending 10 to 15 million pounds on a striker like Matthias Kvisgaarden, and let's keep Dyson Maeda playing there, keeping up his form through there, and we've got Jota and Kuhn on the wings anyway. Let's bring in more depth on the wings. Let's bring in other players who can maybe do a job in playing all three, left wing, striker and right wing if need be. Look for these versatile players. Because we know that Maeda can play on the left, on the right, and through the middle. We know that Jota can play on the left, on the right. Kuhn is probably the more one-dimensional of all those players. We have got those guys who can play across the front line. So is it less of a risk for Celtic to go forward with Maeda playing as striker than it is to spend big money on, say, a Matthias Kviesgaarden, who could flop by all accounts, and then you've wasted a lot of money. We already just spent £9 million on a striker. So, yeah, Brendan Rodgers giving us a lot to think about. I think between now and the end of the season, we'll certainly determine whether or not fans are okay with that. But let me make it very clear, this isn't me advocating for Celtic suddenly forgetting about the striker position. I think we still need to add in someone there, even if it's somebody who isn't prioritised over Dyson Maeda, because we've only got Maeda and Ida, and as soon as one of them drop out, we are so light. People will go, oh, we've got Johnny Kenny. Let's be realistic for a minute, with no disrespect, to Johnny Kenny. You know, if Maeda gets injured, we're left with just Ida, and I think this season there's a lot of people who still have their minds to be made up on Ida and whether or not he's good enough. You know me, huge Ida fan, and I think he's more than good enough, but he has been hot and cold, and you need that reliability. So I'm not for a second saying that Rodgers is bang on the money. I think we still need to look in there, but he's certainly not wrong when he says it could be easier for us to find a top winger. There's so many wingers out there. I mean, we have Kevin already saying that Oriaseta was one of those players we were linked with in the January window. He's someone who could come back up again. We were linked with him for a move between £7 and £10 million. It doesn't need to be him, but I think we always see a lot more wingers and certainly more realistic wingers being linked with the club than strikers. Because when it comes to strikers, there is so many that are either just too far out of the price range of Celtic, or we just aren't interested at all, and maybe just aren't good enough at all. So it is one of the most difficult positions on the park to recruit in, and I can see why Brendan Rodgers is maybe saying, well, who knows, Maeda could be the guy. Caden saying that Maeda should just be a winger and or a makeshift striker off the bench. I can't say it. I just have that way he chokes over killer moments, especially in Europe. We've seen it. That's something I think he's improved on this season, is choking on those killer moments. I think we've seen him take, I mean, let's have a look at some of his big goals this year. One that comes to mind is the League Cup final. And any other year, I would expect Dyson Maeda to blutter that out the stadium. The opportunity was presented to him. But he showed great composure, great skill and technique to score the goal the way he did. I think he's certainly improved on that this season. But I do understand why you maybe have your reservations, considering we have seen big moments before where Dyson Maeda hasn't looked as comfortable. So, yeah. Anyway. Yeah, that was a big quote from Rodgers in his interview. Thank you to Paul for being a member for 4 months. Very much appreciated, Paul, and thank you for remaining part of the club. Let's get through a couple of other things that were touched upon by the manager and in the news these last couple of days, so I can get us right into the Q&A for the majority of this. Liam Scales, we have heard an update on him and his injury. That was also via the same interview, I believe. Brendan Rodgers has confirmed that Liam Scales is back in training. He won't be available for this weekend, but won't be far away. He said, we've got Liam Scales now. He won't be ready this weekend, but he's back in training, non-contact with the team. So we expect Liam to be available leading into the Kilmarnock game. We're just waiting to get the players back and have a really strong squad again. So Liam Scales should be back in time for next week, not this weekend coming. And it's good news because we need depth in those areas. As we know, Mike Nawrocki's done a fantastic job coming in and filling in those couple of games he's had to, but Austin Trusty is still out for the time being. We still await more news on him, but I think it'd be hard for Liam Scales to dislodge Big Nawrocki anytime soon, because over the last couple of games, he's done a really good job. But nonetheless, it's always good to see players coming back from injury. We've seen Paolo Bernardo and James Forrest return this past weekend. We are slowly and surely getting back to our fittest squad. Kasper Schmeichel still 5 to 6 weeks away. Rodgers confirmed that as well yesterday, but nonetheless doing okay. And final thing that I wanted to touch on from Brendan Rodgers over the last few days, which I didn't really get to touch on here, is the future of Jeffrey Schlupp. Or was Trusty on the bench at the weekend? I completely forgot. Sorry, my mind has gone blank. So, yeah, we're slowly and surely getting back there anyway. That's the main thing. So, Brendan Rodgers, last thing that I wanted to touch on from him over the last few days that slightly went under the radar, I certainly didn't talk about it on here because I've not had the chance to yet, was Brendan Rodgers talking about the future of Jeffrey Schlupp. Now, Brendan Rodgers has said he doesn't want to commit to Schlupp returning to Celtic, but certainly isn't ruling it out by any means. So he said he thinks it's something that between now and the end of the season they will have a look at, but he doesn't want to commit too early. But honestly, he's a great boy. I knew what I was getting. I know his type. He's a good guy, but more than a good guy, he can perform and play. I think there's more to come. So that's something that Brendan Rodgers has yet to evaluate in its entirety. He says that'll be looked at between now and the end of the season without committing too early to a decision. And of course, for Jeffrey Schlupp himself, he'll have a number of options to consider before choosing if he wants to become a permanent Celtic player. At the expiry of his Crystal Palace contract, I'm sure there'll be many a club across the continent, and probably a good few still down in England, who are willing to bring Jeffrey Schlupp in. Because, number one, he was a good player before leaving Crystal Palace. But number two, has almost basically confirmed he's still a good player, if there were any doubts, with his time at Celtic. So he's been great for us. He's been great in Europe, and clubs will be taking note of that. The biggest competition for Celtic is the fact that Celtic fans want him here, but we know that Kieran Tierney's coming back, and Jeffrey Schlupp might want to be a first team player. He might want to be starting games of football. This is him getting into the twilight of his career now, and he might not want to be second fiddle to Kieran Tierney. So it's something that him and the club need to assess together, and we'll see how that goes. But I'm hoping that we can bring in Jeffrey Schlupp on a permanent transfer come the end of the season. But Brendan Rodgers saying nothing has been decided as of yet. Right, a couple of bits of housekeeping before we get into the Q&A. Thank you, Paul. But Paul, that is beyond generous. You're already a channel member. Thank you for the £20 donation. Hi, Ryan. Hope all is well. All is well, Paul. I hope all is well with you as well. Get your questions in for the Q&A, but God bless me. You know, I appreciate any donations. And it makes me, makes this possible as the full-time gig. So thank you. Also, on that note, channel members, Paul spurring me on the reminder, we'll be back with the channel member content tomorrow. I'll have a members Q&A stream live tomorrow night. We'll have some Football Manager at the weekend, and we'll have the Thunder Club back as soon as we're filming the Celtic the Thunder. If you want to become a channel member, you know where to go down below. Right. Get your questions in. It can be about anything you like, and we'll try and cover it. We'll start with Ewan saying one thing we've learned from this season is that with one or two injuries as well as departures, it makes the squad very light, and that was evident against Rangers. This is a massive summer ahead for Celtic. So I agree. I think you can see that. We've been really lucky this season, haven't we? We've been really, really lucky that injuries have kind of waited until things were all said and done. When the Champions League was over, when the league title was wrapped up, when our biggest competition was maybe out the Scottish Cup, we've been quite lucky in that regard. But when it has hit, when the injuries have hit, it's exposed a couple of areas for Celtic. So I agree, 100%. It's a big summer. We're going to look at that at the end of the season and how we perhaps navigate this squad. I'm not going to use the term reconstruction because I don't think there's any reconstruction needed, but how we construct the optimum squad that handles depth and quality while also meeting the European quotas we need to meet. We'll look at that come the end of the season, but it's a good point from you, and 100% I agree. Schlupp is very versatile, 100%. Hello Murray, DM McDonald says, evening Ryan mate, I hope you're well. That 10-team league proposed by the SPFL is the biggest load of nonsense going. I think you've got to start from the bottom if any reconstruction is on the card. I've had a couple of comments about that. We've had D Hamill saying the league should not be 10 teams, 12 is bad enough. They do not need another 2 derbies a season. And we also had Donny Tinyhand saying, what would my ideal league reconstruction look like? By the way, before we even talk about reconstruction, can everybody please give a massive thank you and a round of applause to one of our top gifter, I believe, our top gifter, Adam Mitchell, who has donated 10 channel. We have got a match from Mr. Mortal, Saint Mortal, sorry, thank you, that's 20, I don't know who the lucky 20 people are, I don't know who the lucky 20 are in this chat, but thank you for paying it forward, guys. As Saint Mortal and Adam all often like to remind us, you can donate as much as you like, but if you truly want to donate, pay it forward to some people who are maybe not lucky enough to afford a channel membership, and you can gift away to the same amount you would donate. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Mr. Mortal. I don't know who the lucky 20 people are, but everybody in the chat, please give a little thank you to these guys, because they've dished out the goods for you. So Adam, Saint Mortal, absolute legends of the game. We'll see I'll use 20 members in the stream soon. Whew, catching my bloody breath here. Sorry, just had to check my phone there for a second. Right, league reconstruction. Yesterday it was a bombshell. I obviously made a video on it last night. If you haven't seen it yet, you can go and check it out on the channel, talking about my opinions of this proposed 10-team league. Scottish football is in bad a state enough as it is with the current league system up and down the leagues. To go and make it worse is a genuine attempt of killing the game in its entirety. It is an absolute nonsense what has been suggested. I'll come back to Murray's comment who said, it's a lot of nonsense, the biggest lot of nonsense I've perhaps ever seen. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. Any excitement left in Scottish football would be drained completely. Now, the ideal league construction for me would be an 18-team league in the top flight, an 18-team league in the second flight, and maybe a 12-team league in the third flight or something like that. But it's certainly an 18-team top flight. That's just not going to happen. I'm realistic. I'm saying that's my ideal situation, and that's what I want, but I'm not stupid enough to suggest that would happen. I think that one of the most realistic routes forward, and you need to go and look it up if you don't know, would be the Greek format that has been doing the rounds recently, thanks to one TikTok creator who really suggested it as a realistic idea for Scotland, and I think it would be a fantastic idea. It would maintain the 4 derbies that the Sky broadcasters would be looking for. It would keep an excitement in the league because you would have drama down the bottom end and in the middle of the table for European spots. The Greek format is the best format that could possibly hit Scotland in these next couple of years, should league reconstruction take place. If you don't know about the Greek format, go and do your research. Go and look how the Greek Super League is done. In my humble opinion, that is the way that we should go forward. Or at least the most realistic way that we could go forward. But now, the only joy that I got from yesterday's bombshell exclusive is that apparently it's not only the 10-team league that's been looked at. They will also look at 14 and 16-team options. So yeah, I listen, there's a few different ideas floating around, but I kind of sway towards the Greek option that's there. But it can't be the 10 teams. It can't. And it would kill this league. I'll die on that hill. It would destroy this league. A 10-team system. And I just don't get when everybody from fans to managers to players and whoever are saying, no, we need expansion. We need more teams. That Neil Doncaster, the SPFL, and whoever else are making these decisions go, no, we want to decrease the amount of teams. We want the opposite of expansion. We want despansion. I can't remember the word. Nonetheless, you get what I'm saying. It's a conversation that's going to take place over the next wee while. Wizard Mortal with another, I'm just so used to calling you Wizard Mortal. Saint Mortal with another 5 gifted memberships, by the way. I see people picking them up. Squeak saying thank you to Adam. He's picked up one of the new memberships. Ranny's Rovers, Donna as well. Thank you, Adam and Mr. Mortal, Saint Mortal. It would be it is so much appreciated, and thank you. You know what, I genuinely appreciate you guys. Right, God almighty, there was so Murray suggesting get rid of League 2 and go with 14, 14 and 14. 2 teams go down in each division. Playoffs are between 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th. 2-legged ties with the final in Juvenile down the end. I like it. It's very kind of similar to the Greek format. So somebody was asking me how many teams are in the Greek Super League. So it's 14. I'll try and explain it in layman's terms, as simple as possible. For you guys while you try and come up and get what I'm saying. So in the Greek Super League, there's 14 teams, right? 14 teams then splits into 3 different leagues. You have the Championship League, the Conference League playoff group, and the relegation round. So you'd have the top 4 who are in the top 4 compete amongst themselves for the last 6 games of the season. Then you have the teams between 5th and 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th playing each other in their wee group at that point of the season. And then everybody from 9th and below are in the relegation round, and 2 teams go down every year. So it's not just one team, and then I think there's a playoff as well for the team that finishes third last. Genuinely, just go and look it up. I think it's probably the best way to go around it. And I think that it's a genuinely good solution that it would keep all parties happy. Right, let's move it on. Let's keep it going. I only have around 9 minutes left on the stream, so I want to talk about as many different things as possible. We won't spend all night talking about the SPFL reconstruction, because we'll genuinely just not talk about anything else. If we do that, we'll be here all night. Have I had the chicken chasney pie at St Mirren now? No, I don't. I've had it in Motherwell though. It'll probably be the same one. It'll probably be like Pie Sports or something like that. So I've tried it there, but I've not tried it. I've not tried it at St Mirren. I've never been to St Mirren Park actually. Never been to St Mirren Park. Keep your questions coming in, lads. Keep your points coming in. I'm not a biggest fan of the end of season playoffs and split. I would be if they do it right though. The playoffs right now are a terrible format for teams, and just funnily enough, here comes Doug, who's a Livingston supporter. Hi Doug, how you doing? For teams like Livingston, who this year could potentially be playing in a playoff round, the odds are stacked against them. So you've got to make them fairer, you've got to make them more entertaining than the way it is right now. The team that finishes 11th in the Scottish Premiership has got all the advantages. You know, they don't have to kick a ball until that last set of games. Whereas the teams in the Championship have got to go through a good couple of rounds before making it to play the 11th place team in the league. So, you know, you've got to change the format of that as well. 100%. Oh, God almighty. Sorry, lads. You need to pay for the privilege. I'm Mr. Krabs, and I like money. Sorry. What Celtic player do you think gets pished the most on the night out? I don't know. Nicholas Could. There's my guess. The Belgian system's also not a bad shout. Theirs is just a lot more. At first, there's a lot more complex to understand. Once you get used to it, or you hear it explained a few times, it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. But I think it would take so long for people in this country to get used to that. But yeah, as it stands, it's ridiculous that Partick will need to play 6 games to go up. Exactly. It's crazy. Everything needs to change. Everything at all. Everything from top to bottom, and nothing at all should be remaining the same after this, but it just better not be that 10 team league we're looking at. Jace saying, do you think we will do good or better in Europe this season as it was a once in a million season? I think we could do better next year. It depends on the draw. It depends on the draw. As you said, last year you could look at it as a 1 in a million draw, but who knows, next year we might get one just as nice. You really just don't know until you go out there and you see who you're getting, and then you can make a right good assessment of how you might do. Let's see how else. 18-team league, play twice in the TV deal, would be damned, and make our own TV. Simple. It's easier said than done, John. It's easier said than done. The league is on its arse as it is. There's teams near folding every year up and down Scotland. It's all very well and good to say, oh, we'll make our own TV deal or we'll do things our way. But if Sky go, see you later, I'll tell you what, it'll be see you later for a lot of teams in Scottish football. It's as simple as that. And I'm not just talking about your Invernesses or your Gretnas and all these teams from smaller towns and cities. I'm talking about even the big boys. I'm talking about, you know, teams in the top flight like Motherwell and all the rest of it. It would hit them eventually. So, you know, it's easier said than done. We will always have 4 derbies as long as the financial situation remains the same in Scottish football. There will always need to be 4 derbies, and that's just the way of it. Sadly, that is just the way of it. Would you sign James Wilson from Hearts or Bobby Wales from Killie to be the third choice striker? Probably not, no. They're freshly on the scene. They haven't done enough yet to suggest that that's where their next move should be. These are guys that are in a position where they still need to flourish. And, I mean, I always come back. I remember when Harry Cochrane broke through at Hearts years. Was it Harry Cochrane? Is that who I'm thinking of? It's the next big thing. It's the next big thing. And he amounted to nothing. You know, it's all very well and good breaking in and getting it. It's happened to so many players at Manchester United over the last 10, 15 years as well. And all over football. You've got to let them flourish. You've got to let them improve before these moves. It's like different. Lennon Miller is at a level where I think he's genuinely ready to take that next step. James Wilson, Bobby Wales, I'm not as convinced on that yet. But who knows, maybe in a year or two's time, we could be talking about them as realistic possibilities for Celtic, but I just don't think right now, this second, that'll be the case. Let's see. Have you seen the new Welsh system? Could be worth a look for us. I haven't seen the new Welsh system, Adam. I'll have to have a look at it. I will need to do some research. There's a fantastic TikTok doing the rounds on, I think if you check, I believe it might have been, let me go and check Twitter a second, and I will let you know if it was, oh wow, Rusev is re-signed with WWE. Holy shit. Sorry lads, a wee bit off topic. Let me have a look. What was I going to... Who's his name again? Anthony Joseph. I believe Anthony Joseph might have shared it. For anybody who doesn't know the Greek format, I will drop a link. Here we go. I have found it. Have a look at this TikTok and let me know what you guys think. And you can see, that's for watching after the stream. I have dropped a link for you all to check out, which is an explanation to the Greek format and how that works. It's the most simple explanation I have seen of it. So yeah. Thank you to Ryan for the $4.99 donation. Hail, hail, Ryan, you sexy bastard. Not as sexy as you. Thank you. I appreciate that, Ryan, and God bless. Beam McCann, thank you for being a member for 6 months. It would be fantastic. Everybody stop watching this and watch that. Yes. Yes, do it. Do it. Have you spoke about the midfielder we've apparently put a bid in for, but ended up getting beat by Sporting Lisbon, 7.5 million? I saw an article about it. I've not spoke about it. I've consciously not spoken about it because I've not read enough yet to tell myself if it was true or not. So I need to go and have a look and do a wee bit of deep diving when I'm back for five-a-sides tonight, because honestly, I don't know if it's one to believe or one that is just a lot of rubbish. So thank you for bringing it up anyway, Paul. I appreciate it. Thank you, Adam, for the $4.99 saying PSA for anyone in the chat. Kyogo isn't going to come back. Let it go, man. I agree. He's not going to come back. And I think that the only reason, Adam, that so many people are having that sort of discussion is because of what's happened with Jota coming back, and people think that the same thing is going to happen. I can't help but reiterate this enough. And once again, Adam, thank you for the donation, mate. I love you. The thing is, with Kyogo, he left Celtic because he wanted the change and because he wanted to leave, because he needed to leave to get into the Japanese national team. Now, the reason that Jota left Celtic was because he was offered a life-changing £195,000 per week. Jota would have stayed at Celtic if we could have given him that £195,000 a week. Jota would have came back to Celtic in a heartbeat if the opportunity presented itself, and it did. Kyogo, that's not going to happen, and that's fine. That is absolutely fine. So everybody who keeps asking me the question, will Kyogo come back in the summer? No, he won't come back in the summer. Kyogo will not return to Celtic. I respect his decision to leave as well. Can I say that? I equally as respect and accept his decision. He left because he thought that's what he had to do to further his own career, and he owes nothing to the club at the end of the day. So yeah, let's just put a pin in that one for now. Thank you for Adam for bringing it up. Let's go through a couple of things more very, very quickly before I need to wrap up, because I really do need to get a move on, or I'm going to delay kickoff at Stepford this evening. Let's see, how much will Lennon Miller cost? I'm assuming somewhere between £3 and £5 million. A lot of people saying, they don't want to see Kyogo anyway, and that's fair. We had the prime years of Kyogo. It makes a lot of sense. What do you make of Chris Boyd saying Greg Taylor should join Rangers in the summer on a free? Surely he wouldn't be so stupid. Look, listen, we all know that Greg Taylor was a Rangers fan supporting a Rangers supporter growing up, and I'm assuming that his dream was always to play for Rangers. Football changes things, and I don't think Greg Taylor will join Rangers in the summer, and no, I don't think he'd want to join Rangers in the summer, because I just don't see it. Maybe that's naive of me, but I just don't see it, and I'm just going off my gut feeling. Plus, Chris Boyd's a wanker. So, on that note, I'm going to wrap things up there because I need to move. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in tonight. I appreciate you. Can I just give a quick shout out to, once again, everybody who has donated through this stream and gifted memberships through this stream. Thank you to Paul. Thank you to Adam. Thank you to Saint Mortal. Thank you to Ryan. Thank you to Beam McCann. And once again, thank you to Adam. I do love and appreciate all of you guys so much. Members will be live again on the channel tomorrow night, so join me then, and we'll have a video on the main channel as well tomorrow evening. So until then, please take care of yourself. God bless, and I'll see you all next time.